Welcome to the Let's Talk About Talking podcast with your host, Adrienne Fuller, language and communications expert for kids of all ages. On this podcast, we talk about speech, language, and all things happening with your child, giving you specific tactical information you can use to help your kids talk, listen, and thrive in their academic journey.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Let's Talk About Talking podcast. My name is Adrienne Fuller. I'm a speech language pathologist, and the goal of this podcast is to give parents and caregivers and even new therapists information for their kids from the very beginning, birth, to the time they go off to college, and we talk about all the things in this room. Well, my guest this morning, whenever you're consuming this content, I just kind of happened to meet, and I began to think, hey, this is something the listeners need to know about. So I'm going to just jump into and introduce. Her name is Felicia Paredes, and she owns a Salt Room, the Salt Room in Oveido, to be specific. So if you are in the Central Florida area and you ever want to go to a Salt Room, hers is really nice. It's nice, it's super cute, and the people are so loving. I love it. Welcome, Felicia.
Hi, Adrienne. How are you?
I am so good. And let me tell you, we were just chatting a minute ago, and she opened up the Salt Room in July of 2021, which was right in the middle of COVID. And so about that time, just being very vulnerable with me, I started having I've always had allergies. So if you have a child with allergies, I know the listener is probably like, well, what does a Salt Room have to do with kids? I need you guys to stick with me. So I've always had allergies, but then after I opened my business, the eczema that I used to have occasionally got really bad because of all the stress I was under. Yep. And so I'd gone to a Salt Room years before, and it was good, but I only gone one time. And then I have a niece that tends to have the same things I do, like allergies and skin issues. And her mom's very holistic. She believes in that. And so one day she came up and she said, hey, I'm going to get this membership to the Salt Room. It was Felicia's. And then but you can add one other person. So she's like, why don't I add you? Because I know you sometimes have this thing. And so these things going on, let me tell you guys, I have done everything. I've been tested for allergies. I've taken every antihistamine in the book. Nothing has helped my allergies like the Salt Room. Oh my God. Isn't that awesome?
I love hearing those stories.
I'm telling you, I used to literally get sick, and I was like, do I need to start getting allergy shots?
No.
PSA, if allergy shots are working for you, I am not saying don't do that. I'm saying for me and my journey, and a lot of people I know, the Salt Room is something I don't think people know about. So that's why Felicia's here. Felicia, tell me how did you get into this anyway? Halo Therapy, guys, that's the official name, but I'm going to always call it Salt Therapy.
Exactly. Well, I struggle with allergies the majority of my life. I was raised holistically. So my mom was one of those people that actually shopped at the Whole Food stores in the 70s before it was cool. Where, I go to school, kids would have high C and we had papaya juice. They'd have Doritos and we had sunflower seeds and raisins. So she was cool way before it was being cool. So basically I grew up holistically and even went to acupuncture as a teenager because that's, my mom's influence. One thing that happened is the fact that we grew up in the 70s. We didn't know about secondhand smoke. We didn't know the dangers and what it could do. So my dad used to smoke in the house and we would be able to actually see it hanging. And, we didn't know. So both me and my brother, lots of, respiratory issues. I struggled. I had tubes put in my ears. I had tonsillitis all the time. And so my mom did everything she possibly could, to try to help us out. But this wasn't around back then. Or if it was, it was maybe one place in the United States. So, into my 30s, I kind of got away from the holistic, treatments and, thought I knew better, which obviously I didn't. And then in my 40s, I really started getting like migraines almost a couple times a week. And it was food related allergies, as well as obviously my sinuses and everything else was flaring up. And I would be getting sinusitis 3 or 4 times a year. And what that means is I was living on antibiotics and I just felt like I needed something else. I couldn't, it was damaging my body. Antibiotics shouldn't be taken that much.
No.
They're only, in critical, matters, So I started doing research and I found out I stumbled upon halotherapy and I'm like, what is this? And, of course you're skeptical. And thankfully, I found the one downtown and I became a client there about 8 years ago. And I was a client there for 6 years and then finally decided, hey, why don't we try doing this on our own?
Oh, that's awesome. Like we should actually do like a business podcast too, because I think this is fabulous in that of itself. But guys, I just want to let you know at the Salt Room of Oviedo, there is specifically a room for kids.
Yes,
Because
it's our busiest.
Is it your busiest?
Yes, it is. I wish I could make 2.
That's not a bad idea. Every time I go in there, there's almost always a child in that room. And it's can you just tell us, for a child, is there an age that's too young?
No, actually, we have pregnant moms in there with their other children. So in the womb, and then we have newborns that are in there. The only thing is that we would keep them away from the direct flow of the salt coming out, but we put down a blanket and they can just crawl around there and get the benefits as well. So no age limits.
And so we talked about the allergy, like the benefits that fall into like allergies, respiratory. What are some other benefits of halo or salt therapy?
It's also great for folks that have skin problems, like you were saying, the eczema and psoriasis. A lot of the little ones that are in there come in with eczema. Note to self, if you ever are bringing a child with eczema, make sure they don't have any open sores because that could be traumatic to them because it is still salt. But, when they're not in a flare up, it's great for keeping it calm. It's great for sleep. The salt itself is anti-inflammatory. So I have a lot of inflammation in my body, postmenopausal. We have all kinds of, that's a whole nother story. So it helps keep the inflammation down in my body. It's antibacterial. And folks need to know, because a lot of people are still cautious with COVID. We do sanitize the rooms. We have hospital grade sanitizers. So after each session, we also sanitize the room as well as the blankets. And then it's also good for snoring. It helps with better sleep. We have some older folks that are here with us. They suffer from emphysema and COPD. We actually have a couple clients that have really severe, like odd types of respiratory issues, and it has helped them tremendously. Their members, some of them are in there every single day. So it definitely helps them.
Recently, I did talk to someone in the room, and she said she comes 3 times a week faithfully. She had this, I want to say CHF, but don't quote me on that. But she said the price of the membership is literally the cost of 2 doctor's visits, which if she were sick all the time, that's what she would be paying anyway. And so, and I'm even thinking like for our pregnant moms that are listening, because you can't always take meds, right? When you're sick, that would be a really good opportunity, pregnant moms, to like get some relief from allergies, from your colds. Like I've once been on the brink of a cold, when you feel it coming.
It's
gone to the salt room and it was able to reverse it. And I know, guys, it feels like I'm just she did not ask me to come on. She did not pay me. I asked her because I just feel like this is something people don't know about. And so I don't know, in their minds, I think people think, oh, salt room, it's going to be blowing at me. So can you, with your words, describe what a salt visit would be like?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give just a little bit of history to see where this came from. Back in 1843, there was a Polish doctor that noticed that all of his clients that were salt miners never had any respiratory issues. So he decided, well, let's see if this is for real. And he would actually take his patients down into the salt caves, and they would live there for a week at a time. And it helped clear up all kinds of respiratory ailments. And then in World War II, in Germany, they would use the salt caves for shelter from the bombings. And doctors there would find out that, hey, why are all these people getting relief from their respiratory issues? There's got to be something to this. So it kind of started over there in Eastern Europe. And then in 1980, the Odessa Science Research Institute in Ukraine, they actually developed the first halotherapy device. And that has transitioned into what we use today, which is the halotherapy machine. So what we do is we put the pharmaceutical grade salt into the machine. It gets ground up into a fine powder, and that's what gets blown into the room. So you're in there for 45 minutes and you're breathing in this aerosolized salt. And what it's doing is getting into your respiratory tract, killing any sorts of bacteria that might be in there, as well as attaching to mucus. So that is what's helping expel whatever might be ailing you in the respiratory tract. And you also need to hydrate, obviously, to get that all out. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
And this might seem like a silly question, but maybe if someone's like taking medication for blood pressure and they're like, well, I can't be exposed to salt. I don't think it. What are your thoughts on that?
I have high blood pressure myself. I've had it for years. As long as you are regulated and being treated for it, the only contraindication is it's like somebody is like, 200 over whatever, and they're not being treated, like somebody that wouldn't know. But anybody else, it's not a problem because you're not ingesting it. You're not eating it. It's going into the respiratory tract versus the bloodstream. So that's why it's okay for folks that have high blood pressure.
All right. Well, when the kids are in there, I see that there's an array of toys. It's like they're like, they don't even know what's going on, parents.
No, it's like a day at the beach.
Oh yeah, because the salt's it's very it's like they're just playing in there, but
yes,
they're still getting all those benefits. And it's
what's happening in there too is not only is it getting blown into the room, but all the salt previously that's blown into the room is there, and it's like sand. So that's why there's buckets and shovels, so they can scoop it and work with that too. So they're also getting it from the ground up as well as it being blown into the room. So super beneficial for them. And they're always entertained. There's plenty to do in there.
And is it best? How many visits before someone might see a difference? And parents ask me this all the time. I'm like, every kid is different. I don't have a crystal ball. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, everybody's different. I mean, there's some people that are actually on allergy meds. We never recommend coming off of it. This is a complementary therapy. Most people will experience relief probably after the first time. They're going to feel some tingling in the nose. Their nose will probably start running. To get the full benefit, so you can actually feel a difference, we would recommend probably 3 to 5 times. And then what happens, just like with anything else, like trying to lose weight, once you do it, you're like, oh, I'm good. No, that's not the case. You got to maintain. That's why we have the memberships. You got to keep coming. Now, mind you, if you're feeling sick, come often. Myself, if I am feeling like I'm coming down with something, I'll actually go into the room and do 2 sessions at once. And that'll usually help knock it out. So there's no limit. You can't overdose.
Maybe next time I'll do a power session. Try to do
We have lots of folks that do.
Oh, really? You can do it back to back?
Absolutely.
Oh, see, guys, even I'm learning something.
There you
go. So I want everyone to just know this is just an option. We're not saying it's the end all be all, but I'm saying in my life personally, I have found it to be incredibly helpful. During the pandemic, I got hit with just a lot of anxiety, to be honest. It was almost beginning to be debilitating. But even me going to the salt room for that has also helped that anxious feeling that sometimes I get. And I know, and parents don't always say this, there's a lot of overwhelm when it comes to parenting. And I just feel like when you're in that room, you can choose to have your cell phone in there or not. A lot of times I'll it's my only time that no one's bothering me. So I put my phone on silent and knock out a lot of emails, or I will choose to unplug and read my book. But I'm telling you, it's just connecting to my breath and inhaling that salt has really been a game changer for me. So
absolutely.
If there's a parent listening and they're like, I don't know, it just seems like kind of quacky or mumbo jumbo, what would you say to them?
You got to try it. That's what usually happens. We'll have parents, send the nanny with the child, and then they're like, oh, wait, I'm bringing the kid next time. She said it was so great. Mm-hmm. And they got to try it. Kids, some of them are trepidatious about something new, but once they get in there and they see the toys and they see the mural, they're golden, and we have kids that are like, oh, when can I come back? And then we have kids that are screaming because they don't want to leave. So, it's just, you gotta know your child. We have lots of children with learning disabilities or ADHD, lots of autistic children. So we make accommodations. You can turn off the lights, we can make sure everything's quiet for them. So, we're here to help you with whatever your needs are. And then for the adult rooms, because we do have lots of folks that are on the family memberships, whereas, they'll take the child, but mom or dad needs some quiet time. So the adult salt rooms is very serene. We've got those huge Himalayan salt lamps. There's a meditation mat. There's yoga mats. So, whatever you do, some people got to take their phones. I recommend don't. Just detach. It's only 45 minutes. So everybody does their own thing.
They really, really do. So how can people reach you specifically if they want to book in the local Central Florida area?
They can go to our website, which is saltroomoveido.com. They can go to social. We're on Instagram as well as Facebook. And that's a good thing because I post a lot of specials on social media. So definitely follow us or give us a call, 407-542-7818. We're there to help.
They really are there to help. And I feel like it's priced reasonably. Really what you spend at Starbucks, or you just got back from seeing The Little Mermaid, like the movie. Like sometimes that is the same price as a night out, and the benefits you get are so, to me, longer lasting.
Yes. This is your health. You only got one you only got one life. So, try to live it well so you can stretch it out as long as you can.
Stretch it out and enjoy it.
Yes. Be healthy and not on medications, for sure.
On medications. And so thank you so much, Felicia, for joining us.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
It was so fun. And I did learn, I didn't know this thing dated back to the 1800s. It's proven, you guys.
Yes.
It's proven. So thank you so much. For all the listeners, join me next time. But until then, try the Salt Room. Let us know how it goes. You guys take care. Bye.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Let's Talk About Talking podcast with your host, Adrienne Fuller, language and communications expert for kids of all ages. You can grab Adrienne's book, 30 Days to Get Your Toddler Talking, on Amazon or at speechbuilders.org.